Okay, so Joe, I want you to know that I am going to be recording this class, and when the class is over, if you'd like a copy of the class that I've just recorded, just let me know and we'll email that out to you. I'll ask you that at the end of the class. But I did want you to be aware that this class itself is actually being recorded, so all of your questions, et cetera, you'll be able to hear those as well. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. This is the advanced class. And as an advanced class, what we're really focusing on are some of the items in the software that most people are unfamiliar with. People who use the software regularly, day by day, can still find a lot of things in the software that they're not familiar with. And that's what this class is going to do. We're going to talk about some of the more important items that people are unfamiliar with. We're going to start with emailing staff. And we do that. First, I want you to, we're not going to really be discussing Darcy in this class, but I do need you to be aware that Darcy controls all of the emails in the system. And so Darcy must be running for this feature to work. And in order for Darcy to be running, if you're using the cloud version of the software, there's nothing you need to do. Darcy's already running. If, however, you are not using the cloud version, if you're using an installed version, then inside of Darcy, there's a button that says Run Darcy, and she must be running in order for any of the email features of the software to work. Darcy does have her own class if you plan on attending that, or if you've already attended that at some point. We also have videos of that on our website. Okay, so we're talking about emailing staff. And so if I go to Setup and I go to my staff files, whatever they may be called in your system, esthetician files, stylist files, therapist files, operator files, whatever they may be, every one of your providers has an email field. Hopefully you've got their email address in there. Now there's lots of different ways to contact your customers, your staff via email for things like when you book, unbook, or reschedule them. Or if you want them every night to receive a copy of their schedule or a copy of their report showing all of the sales that they may have made that night. But that's not what we're talking about here. What we're talking about is sending a direct message to your staff member, and here's a button in their in their staff file that says message. So we can click that button, type a subject, type a message, and hit send. And then it will send whatever that message is directly to our staff member. I can also press select all. After getting into any staff member, I have the option to select all. Now I can unselect certain people, or I can leave them all checked. And by doing this, all of your staff members will get whatever the message is. So for instance, it may be something like, don't forget our Friday business meeting at 12 o'clock or something like that. Now you can also contact your staff same way, but without going into their staff file. If you were actually in the appointment book, you can right-click on any one of your staff and select email, and the same window will come up. Subject, message, send, and you just sent a message directly to that person, or select all, subject, message, send, and you just sent it company-wide, or perhaps you uncheck a few of them and you only send it to those that you want it to go to, whatever it may be. That is staff email. Next, we have emailing the customer. It's very similar. In the client file, whoever you may pull up, you have a button, again, that says message. I click here, type in a subject, type in a message, and hit send. You'll notice I can't do a select all because I'm not sending this to all of my customers. If I wanted to send a message to all of my customers, I would use marketing. In this case, I'm just sending a direct email, hey, you left your glasses, something like that. The difference between this email and a staff email, when you send them singularly like this, a staff email will just be the subject and the message, whereas a client email will be the subject and the message, including your logo and your social networking icons. That way it's a good-looking email to your customers. It doesn't have to be quite so good-looking to your staff. Any questions on that before we continue?
No,
okay,
no, very good.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, absolutely. The next thing that we're going to talk about is the activity button inside of inventory. In inventory, you have all of your products, of course, and whatever they may be, you have a button that says activity. By clicking on activity, it will show you everything that's been done concerning that product. From the day that it was first set up into the system, it will show you everything that's been done. And that's with my all button. With my received only button, I'll show any purchase orders that I created with this product in it. And on those dates, not only that I created them, but also the dates that I received them. And of course, when you receive a PO with a product, it'll update your quantities automatically. Also, if I hit sales only, then I'll see all of the sales that I've ever done with this product. So I sold this product. Now, that's important to note, excuse me, what's important to note here is some of them under by whom have names and others have question marks. If you are using password protection for your sales screen, saying basically in order to process a transaction, you must use a password. If that's the case, then it will capture the person who did the transaction that this product was sold on. In this case, Christian. In any other cases that you're not using the password protection, you will get a question mark because the system does not know who did the sale. Then we have returns. As far as the question marks are concerned, exactly the same thing that I just described. But returns means if somebody did a merchandise return for this product, you'll have that information as well. And then any manual adjustments to your totals that you may have had, that will fall under adjustments only. And of course, all includes everything. And close. So that is the activity button. Every product that you have in the system has an activity button so you can see exactly what's been going on with it. Next, we're going to talk a little bit about the month view screen for appointment booking. Now, you're probably already familiar with the day view screen and the week view screen. The day view screen, of course, is our staff members working today, potentially even rooms and or rooms and equipment. If you're tracking those as well. If you're a hair salon, for instance, you would probably only be tracking staff. But this is our day view screen. And our week view screen, I'll right-click on one of my staff members and I'll select Go to Week View. That shows me just this person's schedule from today plus 2 weeks. And with my little plus and minus signs, I can see up to 31 days. But what we're talking about now is the month view screen. From the appointment book, you have a month view button, and that'll bring up this window. Also, let me go ahead and go back to my day view screen. I have the same thing, month view, there's that window again. If I'm not in the appointment book, from the main menu, I can go to appointments and select month view, and there it is again. And even from sales, I can go to book appointments and month view. Now, what is the month view and how does it work? Well, let's talk about it. So the way the month view works is this. It shows you your current month, and you can change that, so I can make this July perhaps. It shows you your current month, and with an italicized, it shows you what day you're on, and any day that is highlighted black is a day that an appointment could be booked. These days, which are not highlighted black, are days that have already passed, and any days that are grayed out are days that you don't work. So you're left only with the days that an appointment can be booked. Let's go to July, so it's a little bit more self-explanatory there. So here, our spa is closed on Sundays, but it's available all of these other days for an appointment. Then I choose my operator. So let's say I choose someone like Ashley. Notice when I chose Ashley, Wednesday and Thursday just grayed out. Sunday's already grayed out, Wednesdays and Thursdays have grayed out, left again only with the days that an appointment could be booked for her. Then I can choose a particular service that she may want to book, or the client may want to book, and in this case, I chose a 1.5 hour long appointment. What may have happened is additional days may have just grayed out because perhaps Ashley's already booked on those days, and now she may have openings, which is why they were still dark, but she may not have a full 1.5 hour opening. And so any day that she doesn't have a full 1.5 hour opening that was dark before will have grayed out, again, leaving you with just the days that she could actually book that appointment. You can choose more than one appointment as well. If that's the case, if the customer says, yeah, you know what, you say, well, she can't see you on Wednesday or Thursday, but she could see you on the 21st. So when I click on the 21st, all of the available times for that service will appear. Maybe only one time will appear, maybe 2 or 3 times will appear. Or in this case, a whole bunch of them because it's just a wide open day. And then I can choose the client name, whoever they may be. We'll go with Mary Ecklos here. Choose their client type like we do whenever we book an appointment and book it. If any rooms are required, it will tell us to choose a room. If not, it'll simply book the appointment. So that's the month view screen. Any questions on that before we continue?
No, thank you.
All right. Okay, the next thing that we're going to talk about is locking and unlocking columns. Now, of course, we all know what a column is. So, for instance, this is Abigail's column, this is Anna's column, this is Kathy's column, etc. Now, when I go from one group to another, you probably are already aware that some of your staff members may not appear in certain groups because they don't provide services in that group. You may have a massage therapist that doesn't do hair. You may have a nail tech that doesn't do massages, etc. So when I grab a group, for instance, let's go here to my nails group. In my nails group, I've got Kathy and Maureen and Michelle, Melinda, Leslie, and Anna. But if I go to my waxing group, I also have, well, let's see, wait a minute, that was Debbie. Was Debbie in? Yeah, Debbie's not in nails. That's what I'm looking for. But she is in waxing. So here's Debbie. And let's just say that I, for whatever reason, need to see Debbie's column. But I'm about to go to a group that Debbie does not work in. And I need to see her column, for her, to see her schedule, whatever it may be. I can just right-click on Debbie and select Lock Column. Now, no matter what group I go to, Debbie is going to join me. We already know she's not in nails, but watch what happens when I choose nails. There's Debbie. So as long as you've locked a column, and you can lock as many columns as you'd like, as long as I've locked a column, then that staff member will come with me to any group I go to, even if she does not work in that group. Now, Debbie doesn't work in nails, but here she is. Now, that doesn't mean that she suddenly works in nails, even temporarily. If I were to try to book a nails appointment with Debbie, it would tell me that this operator does not perform the service and that the appointment cannot be booked. This is just so that I can see her schedule. When I am finished using her schedule for whatever reason, I'm going to select Unlock, and as you can see, she's gone. When I select Unlock, any columns that you locked will vanish from any groups that they do not perform in. Okay? Any questions on locking and unlocking columns?
No, thank you.
All right. The next thing we're going to talk about is refunds. Now, everybody's familiar with doing a refund. I mean, if you process transactions, you know you've got to do occasional refunds. But what a lot of people are not familiar with is exactly how the refund system works in the Transcend software. Because what they really don't know is that you can mix and match refunds and sales on the same ticket. So for instance, let's go ahead and pull up Isabel Ebbett here. Isabel saw Debbie. She got an anti-curl haircut. She owes me $170. Now, I'm going to click this box right here that says refund. Click. Did that turn that into a refund? Absolutely not. This was pulled up as a sale, therefore it is a sale. By clicking refund here, all I'm doing is saying that anything I add to this ticket will be a refund. Perhaps she would like to return the Justin All-in-One shampoo. And I'm going to say that it was Leslie that sold it to her. So I just did a refund. Isabel is returning the Justin All-in-One shampoo that she bought from Leslie, negative $21. Now she owes me $147.06 because it's also refunding her tax. Now I'm going to uncheck that and say that she is also buying the BioSilver Classic Ion. So I unchecked it so that it was gray, and then I added a product. By doing so, I'm saying that this is a sale, even though this is a refund. I could even click back on refund and now say that the last time she was here, she got a bang trim. She wasn't thoroughly happy with it. I can then pull the person that she saw and do a refund on the bang trim. So now I've got sales and refunds combined in the same ticket. If my total is a positive amount, then of course I simply accept their payment, however they're going to be making their payment. However, if the total is a negative amount, for instance, let me go ahead and clear that. I'll pull up a customer, like Mary again, and go straight to refund and say that she is returning the BioSilver Classic that Lizette sold her. This is a total of a negative amount. When I go to payment, I still need to process that transaction even though it's negative. So if it's going to be cash, I can pop open my drawer and I can hand her $39.33. Or I could put $39.33 back on her credit card. If you're processing credit cards directly through the software, then ask her for the same card that she made the purchase on, and you can return the money to the card. If you're doing it in a if you're doing your credit cards outside of the software with a third-party company, that's just fine, but it'll look like this. You're going to do your refund on the separate terminal outside of the software, but you're still going to keep track of it in the software so that your reporting is accurate. This is important because at the end of the day, when you're doing your drawer and you're doing your deposits in your account, etc., your credit card deposits are going to be less $39.33 because you did a return. Or if you did it in cash, it will know that the $39.33 left your drawer so that your drawer is not going to be short. So that's refunds. Any questions on refunds before we continue?
No, thank you.
All right. The next thing we're going to talk about is paid ins and paid outs. Now, normally those are done prior to a closing. And in fact, if I were to go and say I want to close my drawer, the first thing it's going to do is bring up a closing wizard that says, hey, have you done your paid ins and paid outs? A lot of people are unfamiliar with those. But the front desk staff knows how important it is not to be over or short. God forbid, short, that's even worse. But you don't want to be short or over on your drawer. And let's say that I'm just a standard front desk person and I mind my own business and I do whatever the boss tells me. So the boss walks up to me one day and says, hey, give me $20 out of the drawer. I'm short and I'm going to go get coffee for my meeting. Okay, look, I'm fresh out of high school. I'm just going to pop open the drawer and do what the boss says. So that's exactly what I do. And I hand her $20. Well, guess what? My drawer is going to be $20 short. Why? Because, well, $20 just went out of it for no reason, or at least as far as the software is concerned, there's no reason. So what I need to do in order to cover myself is what's called a paid out, so that my drawer is not short by $20. So I'm going to go to register, and I'm going to go to paid outs. So now I can say, boss coffee, $20. And I can post this. I can print a receipt so I have a record of it. I can post it, or I can post and open the drawer. But by doing this, a transaction has been created saying that for the boss's coffee, $20 left the drawer. Now my drawer is not going to be $20 shy because the system knows that $20 left it. That's a paid out. I'll go ahead and exit that without doing it. Now a few days go by, the boss hands me $20, says stick that back in the drawer. My accountant said not to take money directly from the drawer for petty cash items. And I say, okay, so I stick the $20 back in the drawer. Great. Unfortunately, that means my drawer is going to be $20 over. So I go to register and I go to paid ins. And then I could write something like boss paid back coffee money, $20, and post it or post and open the drawer. I can print the receipt, etc. By doing that, I have created a transaction saying that this money has come in, therefore my drawer won't be over. Any questions on paid ins and paid outs before I continue?
No, thank you.
All right. The next thing we're going to talk about is transaction notes. Again, I'm just that, fresh out of high school, 18-year-old front desk person that does whatever the boss or important people at the salon and spa tell me to do. So somebody comes in, like Isabel, and she sees Debbie. She gets her anti-curl and haircut. She owes $170. And Debbie and Isabel walk up to the front desk together. And Debbie says, hey, you know what, when we were doing the work, if I frizzed her hair a little bit, I told her how to fix that with these products when she gets home, but I told her I'd take $50 off the ticket. Okay, I'm going to pay attention to what Debbie says because Debbie's an important person there at the salon and spa. So I can highlight my transaction and go to either discounts or modify a price. So maybe I'm going to modify it down to $120. So now Isabel owes me $120 instead of $170. Now, I could go ahead and just process that payment. Unfortunately, I know that Debbie's the kind of person who in a couple of weeks, she's going to go over her commission report and she's going to absolutely lose it because she always does. And she's going to demand to know why she got credit for a $120 service when it should have been a $170 service, and she just got gypped out of some of her commission. Well, the reason that she's saying that is because she has forgotten. Hundreds of transactions have transpired since she last did this, and she's got a terrible memory. So I know this. I go to notes, and I type in a note that might say something like, Debbie said 50 off because blah, 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 whatever the reason is, and accept. And then I can go ahead and process my transaction. So she pays me and accept. Exactly what I thought would happen happened. A couple of weeks go by, the boss comes up to me and says, Debbie's throwing a stink, what's going on here? And as I said, hundreds of transactions have gone through. My memory may not be the best either. And I said, I don't know. So the best thing to do is look up that client or look up that transaction. So we're going to go to the client information. I can go to view transactions and just say last transaction, and it'll be there. But if it wasn't the last transaction, because maybe this was done a few weeks ago, then I'm going to go into the client file. So I can go to something like client info, and I can pull her up. What was her last name again? I'll do it by first name, Isabel. Oh, great. I've got a lot of Isabels, too. Hang on. I apologize. I wasn't paying attention to what her last name was. Isabel Ebbett. Okay. All right. So I'm going to look up Miss Ebbett here. There we go. and I can go into her history, and I can find the transaction. Well, there it is. Simply by highlighting the transaction, I'll be able to see any notes that were assigned to it. So I highlighted the transaction. Debbie said $50 off because, and my explanation. Now I have an explanation for the boss. Now I don't have to rely on my memory anymore. Essentially, what a transaction note is for any transaction that is odd or out of the ordinary so that I can explain why that transaction is odd or out of the ordinary. It does not attach itself to a client file. It attaches itself to the transaction. And that's why it's called a transaction note, which is different than a client note or an appointment note, etc. Any questions on transaction notes before we continue?
Oh, perfect.
All right. The next thing we're going to talk about is modifying a transaction. So let's pull somebody up here again. This time we'll go with somebody I don't normally use. We'll go with Britta here. And I'm going to say that she saw Christian, and she got a blow dry and curl. And she also saw, well, Madison. No, not Madison. I'm not going to do Botox. Say she also saw Matthew and did a, oh, I don't know, we'll say cap highlights just for the heck of it. So she got a blow dry and curl from Christian. She got cap highlights from Matthew, and she bought some product. And we'll say that she bought the Justin All-in-One shampoo, and we'll say that that was by Maureen. And payment, she pays us $180 and accept, makes my change, $17.06, and accept. Done. Unfortunately, there was a problem. Matthew has come up to me and said, when he was looking at his commission or whatever it may be, that it was he that actually sold her the product, not Maureen. And maybe I knew that, but when I was going so fast with my fingers, I accidentally selected Maureen instead of Matthew because the names are so close together in my list. So I need to fix that. So I can go to View, Transactions, and I can pull up that transaction. I can go to the first transaction of a day, and I can go previous, or I can put in any particular date, or I can type in the transaction number. If I don't know any of that, I can go into the client file, go to their history to find the transaction. So however I do it, but once I have the transaction up, so here's my whole transaction, I'm able to press this Modify button. And with the Modify button, I'm able to make changes. So I can say that Christian did the blow dry and curl for $50. Okay, yeah, that's fine, but let's go to the next one. So I've got my left and right arrows here. This is my transaction number, but this is my record number within the transaction, because this transaction actually has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different pieces to it. And that's what these arrows are going to do, allow me to take them through each piece. So this first piece is Christian doing the blow dry. Click. The next one is Matthew doing the cap highlights. Click. The next one is Maureen selling the Justin All-in-One shampoo. This is my mistake. So I can change this to Matthew and save. Any part of the transaction that I change, I must save. I can't make changes throughout and then press save. I have to save each and every time I make a change to the transaction. So if that was all that needed to be done, I could go to cancel, and now Matthew also sold her the product instead of Maureen. And I'm ready. Now this is going to go and apply itself to my proper reports so that commissions are correct, my reporting is correct, etc. So I'm able to make any kind of change, by the way. I can change how they paid. I can even change the amount that was paid. I can change the tax that was paid. I can even change the services that were done, not just the people who did them. I can change anything I want in there by modifying a transaction. Now, modifying a transaction is a dangerous place to be, because if you make changes and you don't save them properly, well, then your reporting is going to be off. If you make changes and they're the incorrect changes, again, reporting is going to be off. And what about fraud? Somebody changes the name of one provider to another so that they can get the commission on it. Because of these reasons, we highly recommend that modifying a transaction be password protected so that only a manager or perhaps an owner is able to modify a transaction. Any questions on modifying a transaction before we continue?
No, I'm all good.
All right. The next thing we're going to talk about is the points program. Now, we're going to go over the points program very briefly. We're going to show you the different parts of it and how it works, but we're not really going to get into training in it because that's its own hour-long class. If you ever want to set up your points and or membership training, we have videos on it on our website, and you can also schedule a one-on-one class. We don't do group classes like the one you signed up for today for the points program, because everybody's points program is going to be different, and everybody's going to use it differently, and it just creates too much confusion and too many questions, which is why all of our points and membership classes are done one-on-one. But of course, as I said, you can watch the videos as well. All right, so how does it work? Well, let's pull up a customer that is part of my membership program. We'll go with Michelle Babcock because I use her for everything. The first thing you'll notice is that she has 2,793 points. So right up here in the upper right-hand corner once I pulled her up. If I were to go into her client information for any reason, I can also see that she's a gold member. She's earned 253 points. She's used 15,460 of them, and she has a balance of 2,793. How do points work? Well, she saw Christian, she got an Anticro with blow dry, and we're going to accept payment. Now, she does not want to use cash or check or credit card or a gift certificate. She wants to use her points. So we're going to click on our rewards points. She needs 3,600 points for an Anticro with haircut. She only has 2,793. We can handle this one of two ways. We can either have set up our points program as a cash value program or as a freebie program only. So what does that mean? Well, let's find out. First, we're going to say, okay, you need 3,600 points. Click not enough points for this item. This is the freebie version, meaning if you don't have enough points to get what you want for free, you can't use your points at all. This, of course, forces people to hopefully make more purchases so that they can earn additional points so they can eventually get something like that for free. That is the freebie version. However, if I go to Setup, Preferences, General, and say, do not allow partial point redemptions, if I uncheck that, that means I am going to allow partial point redemptions. By doing that, I have now turned my system into a cash value system. We go to Payment, and she would like to use her points, and instead of saying she can't use them, the system is going to allow her to use all 2,793 of her points, leaving her a total of an additional 807 that she needs, but she doesn't have those. So instead of zeroing out the 171 she owes me, it's going to apply a percentage based on the amount of points she has and the amount of points she would have needed. In this case, it'll apply $132.67, so she'll still owe me about $29, $28 and change. And then she can pay that balance with anything else, cash, check, credit card, etc. Whereas she absorbed most of the cost, though, with her points. That's cash value for points. So that's how it's used. And by the way, on their receipts, their points will also be listed. But how does it set up? Does it work? Again, we're not really going to get into heavy detail on that, but I do want to show you a couple of things. If I go into my Enable Points program, it brings up this window. This is something that you would be taught. But just very, very briefly, you have things called earnings ratios and redemption ratios. If my earnings ratio was something like 1-to-1, then every time I spend $1 with you, I'm going to get a point. Spend $50, get 50 points. But then I might have put in a redemption ratio of 10-to-1. 20-to-1 or 50-to-1, whatever I want. If it was 10-to-1, then I would need 1,000 points to get a $100 service for free. I would need 1,000 points to get, I would need 100 points to get a $10 product for free. Because I've said my redemption is 10-to-1. But again, you could make it, if you said it was 50-to-1, that would be a 2%. If it was 10-to-1, that would be a 10%. It's entirely up to you. Now, you can do a blanket earning and redemption ratio. You can also do it different ratios based on groups of services or on categories of products. Or you can even have individual earnings and redemption ratios on individual services and individual products. And the points program works in conjunction with the rewards membership program. So I've got I've got a lot of different memberships. I've got 6 actually, but I've got 3 that I want to focus on here: bronze, bronze, silver, and gold. And let's just pretend those are the only ones I have. I've said that my bronze membership program is completely free. It doesn't cost a dime. It gives no discounts on services, no discounts on retail. It gives no comp services, and it does not allow them to earn services. It does nothing for them, but it does allow them to earn points. So if I simply wanted to put my customers on a points program, I could create something like a bronze program. You get to name them anything you want, and say all this does is allow people who sign up for it to earn points. So it's free. I'm giving it away. You want to be on my points program? Just ask. Then I also have my silver program, which is a little bit different. This one I said is $10 a month, and it gives a 2.5% discount on services, a 2% discount on retail, no comp services, but it does earn points, and it earns points at a 2-to-1 ratio, which means that if a bronze member was going to get 100 points, then a silver member would have earned 200 points for whatever the same thing was, both services and or retail. And that's what I've said for my silver, and that's all it does. In my gold membership, I've said it's $100 a month, and it gives a 5% discount on services, a 5% discount on retail. They get a free bang trim whenever they walk through the door simply by being a gold member, if they want one. It also earns points, and it earns a ratio of 3-to-1. So if a bronze member was going to earn 100 points and a silver member would have earned 200 points, then a gold member would have earned 300 points for the same money spent. But I've also said that it allows them to earn services. In this case, I've set a French manicure for $25. And they can earn it the moment they become a gold member. That's what this check is. If that was unchecked, they would have to be a gold member for a month before they would have earned their first French manicure. But by clicking this, then they can earn their first French manicure the moment they become a member. Again, this can be any service that you offer, but I chose French manicure. Services accumulate mean that if you sold this to her in September, she gets a French manicure. Let's say she doesn't use it. Well, then in October, she would have free 2 French manicures to use. If she doesn't use those, then in November, she would have 3 to use. And again, that's because services accumulate. If I don't have that checked, then she would have 1 French manicure to use in September. She doesn't use it. She still only has 1 in October. She doesn't use that. She's only got 1 in November because they do not accumulate if that is not checked. And then this bottom one can be redeemed towards other services. By checking that, I'm saying that she can use this value, this point value, against anything. It doesn't have to be a French manicure, but it'll earn the points value of the French manicure, even though it can be used towards anything, and that's what that check would be. And so that's my gold membership. So I just wanted to briefly kind of show that to you so that you can understand how people can start earning points and start spending points as well. Any questions on that before we continue?
No, thank you.
All right. The next thing we're going to talk about are promotions. There are 4 different promotions in the software. So if I go to Other, I've got rewards promo, retail promos, service promos, and operator promos. Now, when most people think of promotions, they think of advertising. And that's an important part of promoting, of course. But what we want to do is more than just advertise, which we're certainly going to do, but what we really want to do is tell the software what promotions we're running. So, for instance, if I select an operator promo, and by the way, the operator, service, and retail promos are all very similar, and they all give discounts. The rewards promo is different. We're going to talk about that when we get to it. First, we'll start with the operator promo. I get to name it anything I want. So where it says promotion description, I'm going to call this the Jivo promo. And then I can give it effective dates. So I could say, for instance, from, we'll say July 1st to July 7th. Go to July 7th. So from July 1st to July 7th, I'm doing my Jivo promo. And then my group. Now, this is an operator promotion, meaning it is based on my staff. So I can go with individual groups, or I could choose, for instance, all groups. If I choose all groups, every one of my staff members will appear. If I chose a specific group, like massage, only my massage therapists will appear. So I'm going to go with all groups, and then I could either choose a single person, like Christian, and say that this promo is only going to affect Christian for everything he does, which is why it's all groups. I could have just chosen, say, massage and chosen Christian, then it would be for only massages that Christian's doing. I could also do it for a group of people. So I could say for Christian, Debbie, Madison, Matthew, and Maureen, this promotion is going to apply to everything they do. Or I could have, again, chosen a specific group. Then I can choose the discount that this promotion is going to give. All of my current discounts are listed. These are all of my coupons that I've ever created. And if I don't have a coupon in it for this particular promo, I can create one by clicking on discount codes. And I'll call this the JP. And this is, oh, I've already got one here, Jen's promo. Well, let's just pretend that I didn't have one like that. And I gave it a code like JP. And my description instead was the Jivo promo. And I said it was 15% off. So I'm going to go ahead and accept that. So then I can find it down here, and I can choose it. So there's Jen's promo, and maybe it said the Jivo promo, so I click on that, and I save. If I do that, that means that the software now knows that from July 1st to July 7th, if anybody gets a service from Christian, Debbie, Madison, Matthew, or Maureen, they will automatically get 15% off. I don't need to even tell my front desk staff about it. It's just going to happen. So now, of course, I can send out my promotions, send out my emails, or do my advertising, and basically say, hey, you know, for July 4th, visit Christian, Debbie, Madison, Matthew, or Maureen, and get an automatic 15% off for any services with any of those staff members. And as I said, it can be for a specific staff member, or it can be for everybody, whatever you'd like. That is setting up an operator promo. After we've set up an operator promo, we're going to go to service promos. It's very, very similar. But this time, instead of being based on my staff, it's based on my services. So I can choose a particular, I can give it a name, like my Massage June, for instance, and then put in my effective dates from June 1st to June 30th is what I've put in. I could say this weekend only and just do it for this weekend coming up. And then my group, and I can choose the different services that this will apply to. And then I can apply my discount code just like I did when I did my server promo, my provider promo or operator promo. This time I'm doing it by services. So I could say something like, hey, this month only, get 15% off all massages. Or this weekend only, get 15% off all Swedish massages, because let's say that I disconnected everything but my Swedishes. Then in that, when I send out my advertising, I let them know a Swedish massage during the month of June is going to be 15% off, 20% off, 17% off, 5% off, whatever my discount code is. And again, don't have to tell the front desk staff. I can just market it. If people come in during that time frame and get one of those services, then they are in fact going to get that automatic discount applied. And of course, because these are coupons that are being applied to it, you can run reports on it to see how your promo did. And retail promo, again, very, very similar. In this case, it's going to be based on product. So I can give it a name, I can give it an effective date, I can choose which vendor or all of my vendors, I can choose which manufacturer or all of my manufacturers, and what category. And then all of the products that are in that category that are with this vendor or that manufacturer, et cetera, will appear. And I can uncheck some, I can check others, et cetera, and then I can save it. So I could do something like, hey, this weekend only, all Kerastase shampoos are 25% off, whatever it may be. And that's based on product. Then other and rewards promos. Now this one's a little bit different. This one's not a discount. This one gives an additional factor for my people who earn points. So for instance, I could do something like, this weekend only, all acne creams are triple points, or earn double points this weekend on all dry skin gels, whatever it is. So how do I do it? I give it a name. I put in my factor. So in this case, I've set a factor of 2. That would make it 2 to 1 for earning points. If I change this to 3, it would be triple points. If I change it to 4, it would be quadruple points, etc. And then I can do it by services, or I can do it by product. I can even do things like referrals, so that I could say, hey, earn double points every time you give us a referral during this time frame. And maybe you earn a referral earns 500 points. Well, then if they gave it to you during that time frame, they would get 1,000 points for that referral. Maybe this product earns them 30 points. So if they buy it during this time, they would have gotten 60 points because my factor is 2, which means that if a bronze member would have earned 100 points, during this time frame, they would earn 200 points if they were getting those services or products that you've marked. And a silver member who would have gotten 200 points would have gotten 400, and a gold member who would have gotten 300 points would have gotten 600. Because I've said it's a factor of 2 based on these services and or products for that specific time frame. And that is points promotion. or membership promotion, loyalty promotion, whatever you want to call it. Any questions on that before we continue?
No, all good.
All right. Okay, so then the next thing we're going to talk about is emailing receipts. Now, you remember earlier when we were talking about emailing our staff members and our clients that Darcy must be running. So that still holds true because she handles every type of every type of email that's run through the system. So, for instance, if I went into a client file, one of my options says email receipts. If that is blue and I have the customer's email address, then it won't bother printing out a receipt for this email for this customer. It will automatically email her. Whenever I do a transaction for this customer, she will get her receipt emailed to her. Now, I can do a duplicate receipt, and I can email a receipt that has already been printed, or I can print out a receipt that has already been emailed. So you still have control over it. But again, in the client file, when you go into a client, whoever they may be, if email receipts is gray, or if you don't have their email address, or a combination of both, then they will not receive their receipt via email. You must have their email address, and this box must be checked blue. And then their receipts will automatically be emailed to them. Any questions on that before we continue?
Well, just one quick one. As long as there's an email address, it's available then, right?
That's right. If you don't have their email address in their email field, they will not get the email, whether you've got that blue or not.
Right. But once an email address is in there, it goes blue.
Yeah, you do have to have their email address in, and it's blue, then you're good to go. Then they will receive their receipts via email. Now, if you go into a client file and that button is not available to you, then you would go to Setup, Preferences, Sales Register. Once again, that's Setup, Preferences, Sales Register. And under Receipts, there is a box that says Enable Email Receipts. Check that box, and that button will be available to you. But it should be pre-checked already, so you shouldn't have any trouble with that. Okay, the next thing that we're going to talk about is the fortune teller. So I'm going to go into my reports, and under reports, I have my goals. And under goals, I have something called the fortune teller. The fortune teller is broken up into two halves, the top half and the bottom half. The top half are your actual numbers. Now, don't mind my numbers. They're going to be exceedingly low because this is sample data. But I'm going to choose all of my operators, and it's going to fill in the information for me. And what it's telling me is what my real numbers are based on my last 90 days worth of trends. So I've got 32 active clients. My active client retention is 23.81%. My new clients per month is 2.67. My new client retention is 0. Your numbers, of course, are going to be very, very different than these. But what it's going to do then, excuse me, it's going to average those out. And it's going to say, if nothing changes, this is what your next year is going to look like, if nothing changes. But then down here on the second half, we have the what if scenario. So on the top, you can't change anything. These are your real numbers based on your last 90 days worth of trends. But scenario 2, the what if, I get to make adjustments to any of my real numbers. And those adjustments will show me then in immediate instant time exactly what that business impact would be. So my new client retention is 0%. What if I saved 1 out of every 5 people? That would be 20%. And that would change my total sales from 10,369 to 12,540. If my number of active clients was 32, and I said if I do a little bit of advertising, I can get that up to 35. Again, it shows me what my total sales will be, my total annual income, and my business impact. It's an instant way to see any changes that you might consider making. So for instance, before you invest your time or your effort or your money into making any kind of policy changes or advertising changes or anything like that, if you have an idea of what numbers you're trying to hit, plug those numbers in and see whether or not it's worth doing. If you say I'm trying to get this 32 up to 35 and I'm going to spend $2,500 doing it, I can already see that my difference in annual income is going to be $779. I would have just almost flushed $1,800 down the toilet. So maybe I want to focus somewhere else. on my client retention perhaps, or my new client retention, or maybe the size of my retail ticket or service ticket, maybe how often my customers come to see me. For instance, they see me 5 times a year on average. That's my frequency of visits. And I say, okay, well, I want to get them to come in every other month. So I'm going to push to make it 6 times a year. And that makes its own difference as well. So again, before you invest your time, your effort, or your money, when you think you know what that time, effort, or money should turn these numbers into, plug them in and see whether or not it's worth doing. Any questions on the fortune teller before we continue?
No, thank you.
All right. Okay, well, you haven't had very many questions today. There's a couple of things I want to make you aware of. First of all, I'm sure that you know that you can speak to a member of our support team 24/7 by telephone or during our regular business hours through live chat. And live chat has an average hold time of about 15 seconds. And of course, there's never a charge for live chat because it's during our regular business hours, just like there's never a charge for our 800 number during our regular business hours. And what people don't know often is that support through chat is available on Saturdays for 4 hours. And those hours are from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern time on Saturdays. A lot of people don't know that that is available on Saturdays, so that's why I mention it in this class. Something we did not talk about that has its own class is the online store. The online store allows you to create a storefront that your customers can visit to buy gift certificates or products or even book their own appointments. Of course, you certainly don't need to put that on your website if you're using the app. If you're using the app, they can do that and a lot more directly through the app. But the store still has to be set up in order for the app to run. And whether or not you're using the app, you can set up the stores so that your clients can go to your website to do those things, like buy a gift certificate or product or book themselves an appointment. And your staff can check their schedule through it as well. But that's its own class. And of course, Darcy has her own class as well, which allows you to do your appointment confirmations and reminders, do your automated marketing campaigns, a lot of different things that Darcy can do, and you learn about those in the class, like the buy again and the come again and things like that. But as far as this advanced class is concerned, this class is over. Do you have any questions for me, something you were hoping I was going to cover that I didn't, or perhaps something that I covered that you'd like a little bit more information on, anything at all?
No, I just, what you just said a few minutes ago was enlightening when you talked about the online classes and you talked about what it's set up to set up your own appointments, set up the storefront, and then you said you have to have the app. So what did that mean?
No, you do not. Okay, you do not have to have the app in order for your customers to book appointments online or to buy product online or a gift certificate online. I'm just saying what I was telling you about the online store is that if you do have the app, the online store still must be set up. Although if you have the app, they won't need to go to your website to do those things.
Right.
But yeah, you can set that. You're going to set that up whether you want to use the app or not, so that your customers can do those things if you want your customers to do them.
Okay, so if I set up the app with a store for bookings and all that kind of stuff, I don't need a web-based page. This is directly...
Right, you're still going to set up the store, but you do not need to have that URL on your website or anything like that. You certainly can, but you don't have to.
Right. Well, I guess what I'm saying is that URL is direct. I don't have to have a web page. I don't have to have anything. I can go to that URL and book an appointment.
That's right, yes.
And I could also confirm an appointment. I also could buy a product if the store is
That's right. You're going to confirm appointments through Darcy's system. And of course, you can also do it through the app. But yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So then my question is, how does that work?
Okay, well, my suggestion then would be to attend either the online class or the Darcy class, both of which are coming up today. Let me tell you when they are coming up. Let's go to our website here, go to support, go to my classes, just like this class we just did. Let's see here. Come on. There we go. Okay, so today is the 26th. So we just did the 8:30 a.m. Pacific time advanced class. The next class is at 10 a.m. Pacific, so in about 40 minutes, and that's the Darcy class. And then there is the online booking and retail class. This is the online store class right here, and that's at 11:30 Pacific time today. And then, of course, we have our beginners class at 1 o'clock Pacific today. So if you want to sign up for one of these, you certainly are welcome to. I can sign you up for one of them right now if you'd like.
No,
Or
no.
you can always sign up for them next week as well. We have them next week and the week after that and the week after that as well.
Cool, cool. So,
Okay.
yeah, I don't need a web page to do everything automated. I can work it right.
That's right. That's right. You do not need a web page in order for your customers to book appointments online, or for your staff to check their schedule online, or for your customers to buy gift certificates or product online. You do not need a web page because you can do it right through the online store page, or you can, like I said, have the app.
Okay, now you confused me again. I can do it right through the online store page, or I can have the app. What does that mean?
That's right. That's right. If you have the app, you do not need to have your customers go here because they're going to do the apps right through their smartphone. But you can still have this so that your customers can do either.
Right. Excuse my ignorance. I got you. I'm all there. But so tell me this app you're referring to. Where do I go get that?
Okay, if you're interested in the app, and this is a very, very good time to be interested in the app because right now we're giving it away. And what I mean by that is you're going to get it for 6 months at no charge, and you'll be able to use it till January 18th, and then, till January of 2018, and then in January of 2018, you'll decide whether or not it's something you want to keep, and then we can turn it on for you permanently, or we can just turn it off for you. Your customers will be able to download it from the Google Play Store, the Apple App Store. It takes us between 1 week and 30 days to actually get it set up from the time you say you want it. But let me ask you a quick question. Are you in the, is your software cloud-based or is it installed?
No, I already asked that because I'm buying this salon as a Saturday.
Okay.
But
okay, so you're not sure?
No, I'm sure. They have it as they have it hard-based. They have it desktop. I want to change it to the cloud.
Okay, and so there's another good thing. For those people who are moving from the installed version to the cloud, in order to get the app, we are waiving the cloud migration fee. So even that's free. So you would be able to move to the cloud, and you would be able to get the app for free. Come January, you can decide whether or not you want to stay with the app or not, and whether or not at that time you would be charged for it. But you would get it for 6 months at no charge. So if you'd like, I can send you an email which would ask you for some artwork so we can get started on your app. As I said, it's completely free to you, and there's no obligation. So I could send you an email asking you for the artwork and giving you the information you need for that artwork. And then you would also be contacted by either Jesseline or Lewis of my office to schedule your data migration from the installed version into the cloud. And then once you're in the cloud and we have completed, because we got your artwork, we have completed your app, then it gets posted to the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store, and of course we teach you exactly what it is you're going to be doing so that you can start marketing it to your customers and asking them to download it from and again, it's going to have your logo on it, it's going to have your artwork on it, so it doesn't, for your clients anyway, say anything about Pro Solutions. Now the staff version of the app does, but the client version of the app, as far as they're concerned, it was made by you.
Okay, great, yeah, please. Send me
absolutely. And by the way, did you want a copy of this class emailed to you?
Yes, please.
Okay, so I've got jjevorut@aol.com.
Oh, no, change that.
Okay, tell me what email you'd like me to send it to.
Oh, so it's okay. So it's J as in Jack, J as in Jack. Oh, okay, it's everything you had up to the T. It's correct. But I'm going to add SKY. So it's JJEVORUTSKY.
Okay.
At AOL.com.
At AOL.com?
You can change it in all your records too, and then I have to call in. I guess what I have to do is I have to call in to transfer the license from the current owners to me as well.
Yeah, we do need something in writing saying that ownership has changed. That's exactly right, and email is fine.
Email from the current owners?
Yeah, that would be best, because if we have that, then there will never be a question. But if we had an email from you, we'd be willing to do it. But if the owners told us that there was a problem, we would immediately default to them. So in other words, they could change it right back to them if we didn't get an email from them. But if we got just an email from you, that would be sufficient until and if there was a complaint by the original owners.
Gotcha. So where do I send it?
You would send it to sales, S-A-L-E-S, at prosolutionssoftware.com. Or, if you want, when I email you the link to this class that you just took, as well as the information for the app as far as the artwork is concerned, you could always just reply to my email with that information, and I could forward it on to where you need to send it. But again, it's sales at proSolutions, which ends with an S, software, which starts with an S, so you've got two S's there in the middle, .com.
Solutions. Yeah, so sales at prosolutionssoftware.com.
That's right. You got it.
Yeah, okay. And it doesn't matter what software. All right, yeah, I'll have you reply as well. That'll work.
All right, and you'll have those emails from me today, probably within the hour.
Okay, and then I want the effective date to be this Saturday. So what do I do? I just put that in my email.
I'm sorry. Say that again. What about Saturday?
I want the change of ownership happens on Saturday.
Oh yeah, just include that in the email, please.
All right, and then are you starting the transition from desktop to iCloud, or do I have to do something?
I'm going to send you an email asking for the artwork, and shortly after that, you will be contacted by either Jesseline or Lewis to schedule a data migration from the installed to the cloud. And you can, of course, schedule it for after Saturday if you'd like.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, I thought you said that. Great. And I'm assuming your cloud-based GUI interface is identical to your desktop.
It is, yes.
Thank you very much. I look forward to
My pleasure. All right, you'll get those emails soon. Thank you so much, Joe. Have a great day.
You too. Thank you.